This all began when FFRF fellow Kat Grant wrote a piece called What is a Woman? In it, she highlights the inadequate manner in which most people attempt to define sex and gender. Defining men and women exclusively by an individual's genitals doesn't work. The same goes for reproductive organs, or ability to conceive, or chromosomes, or gametes. Problems with these attempts at categorization will be expanded upon as we progress through this piece. She offers other historical context, highlights outrageous allegations that bigots have made regarding trans people, comments on some social issues, but it was her closing sentence that upset a lot of people. A woman is whoever she says she is. Before moving forward, we must make a few concepts perfectly clear so that we can refer to them as necessary. Sex is a word that refers to a suite of physical characteristics possessed by an organism, like a human. Most humans have a pair of sex chromosomes, as well as primary and secondary sexual characteristics, including genitals and other reproductive organs. Most of the time, the sex chromosomes correspond with these anatomical features, but sometimes they don't, and other times these anatomical features exhibit intermediary characteristics. Human development is profoundly complex, relying on a tightly coordinated sequence of gene expression as well as signaling molecules called hormones. There are more than 2 genotypes and more than 2 phenotypes associated with sex, which means that sex is not binary. Many people have a hard time accepting this, but it's a biological fact. Gender is a more nebulous term that includes broad cultural connotations, but one component of gender is gender identity, which also has biological implications. However, it is not chromosomal, but rather predominantly neuroanatomical. There is such a thing as having the experience of being male or female, and this correlates with brain structure. Masculinization and feminization occur in the brain just as they do everywhere else in the body, most notably during embryonic development. Since the genitals differentiate in the first trimester and the brain becomes imprinted in the latter half of gestation, it is possible for the fetal brain to be imprinted differently than the genitals. The vast majority of the time, gender identity aligns with sex, producing what we now refer to as a cis person. But there are instances in which they are not aligned, and someone is assigned male sex at birth but possesses female gender identity, or assigned female sex at birth but possesses male gender identity, and that is what we now refer to as a trans person. Cis and trans are Latin prefixes that are used all over the sciences, including chemistry, and they refer to sex and gender identity being either the same or opposite, much like substituents on a cyclic organic molecule projecting in either the same or opposite directions with respect to the ring. Research regarding regions of the brain that pertain to sexual orientation and gender identity are ongoing, and we will touch upon some of it a bit later.